Mary?
Mr. Chairman,
We may have a discussion tonight about the Hickory Hills well. And I'll be recusing myself from any discussions about the Hickory Hills well or any of the land, water district's activities on land belonging to the Woodlands, since I'm a partial owner of the Woodlands land. So in that case, I'm going to ask you to take over as chair.
okay. Understood.
FYI, I've disabled the waiting rooms so that people are automatically become
Come in.
get into the meeting.
Oh, somehow we didn't join. That's right.
There you go. Nice.
Mike,
Yes,
where are you? It looks like you're in the police station.
I didn't do it.
None of
I'm
them
They
have
all
done it.
say,
I'm actually, I had to roam around to find an open space at our Cypress Bend Resort. And the only place I could find was this spot, which is a game room, and no one's come in yet. So it does look a little daunting now that I see my reflection.
Yeah,
And
you
the
got the
two-
emergency light over your head and the
Yes.
standard drop ceiling and all white. I'm like, uh-oh, Mike was a bad boy.
It's all good.
Well, that's good. Where's Cypress Bend?
Cypress Bend is in Estero, Florida,
Estero.
which
On the
is
water?
it's about 20 minutes away from Naples
Oh, nice.
on the West Coast.
Yeah, no, we've stopped down there in the RV a few times. We stay out on it's either 993 or 998 going out to Naples or going out to
Okay.
Marco.
Yeah,
There's an RV resort there, Pelican Lake.
yes.
Yeah, we've stayed there and then around the corner at Naples Motor Coach. And then another really cool spot where you're there. Have you been to Everglades City yet?
We're on our way later this week to do that.
Super, yeah, there's a resort just as soon as you go over the bridge coming into Everglades City on the right we stay at.
Now, is that the place that has 25 miles of dirt road and, make sure you have enough gas in your tank? Because there's no,
So it's the nearest anything is back in Naples. So as soon as you start heading
Okay.
south from that 998 interchange on 41,
fill up.
there may be gas. There's one condo complex halfway down 41 that has gas. But then as soon as you turn on to 26 or 28 to go to Everglades City, there's not much down there. I got to nail my tire. I had to drive all the way back to Naples to get it fixed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's basically at the end of nowhere.
Okay. I hear there are a lot of birds and a lot of alligators, so that's what I'm looking for.
And airboats. If you want to take an airboat tour, that's the place to do it.
That's the place? Okay.
Yeah, and if you like fishing, because it's the quickest way to get out to the 10,000 islands.
Yeah.
You go right out through Everglades City and you come right out into the 10,000 islands, and the fishing out there is tremendous.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay, gentlemen,
Okay.
yes, Bob.
these are great travel tips, but it's 7:02 according to my computer.
Thank you.
Well, then we got to get going.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start to read the script.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, before you start, have you made Anna a co-host so she can record? a backup copy.
Oh, well, actually, that's not the way it's done. You take and you click on Anna in the thing and you say allow to record local file. On the
Perfect.
on the participant list. And so,
I'm recording now.
thank you, Anna.
Yes.
All right. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio video recorded. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission is being held by Zoom. The Zoom meeting ID is 812-8378-2929. The passcode is 468-905. As always, I would remind everyone that our agenda is posted on the town calendar, and all meeting agendas are posted on the town calendar, and you can always get the Zoom link from the agenda. I'd like to call the meeting to order and do a roll call of see who's here. I'm Bob Pease, I'm the chair. Rich Birsch,
Present.
Jeff Viviano,
Present.
Katie Childs,
Here.
Mike LaRoche,
Present.
Mary Wilson,
Here,
Rich Tremblay.
Present.
All right. We have everyone here. We can do election of officers tonight.
I don't really want to yet.
That's too bad. I'm gonna drag you cricking and screaming. Are there any public any announcements or public comment from members of the commission? Is there any, seeing none, is there any public comment from members of the public? John Fortune. John, is this gonna be about the Hickory Hills Lake well?
Yes, it would be.
I'm gonna stop talking. Mary, can you take over as chair, please?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I am
John?
recusing myself from this discussion. In any discussions about any of the water district's activities on the Woodlands property.
John, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, John Fortune, 50 Hemlock Drive. At the last meeting, I had spoken to the commissioners about an area where the water district will be pumping water to. I happen to be at that area today in response to Commissioner Birsch asking for some water testing samples. That would be Commissioner Richard Birsch, actually. I was out there doing some grabbing some water tests, and I took some pictures, and I would like to share those with the committee here if you folks have not yet seen the area.
I would like to see those photos. Thank you. Please share.
All right, let me see if I can do this now. This is the hard part. All right, are you able to see the screen of a fire hydrant?
Yes.
Ah, perfect. Okay, that actually worked. Love technology. All right, I'm gonna go quickly through these just so you can see them. This is a fire hydrant. This is right behind the well house. The Lunenburg Water District pumps water out to this fire hydrant, and those two fire hydrants, one or two, will pump water into the area that we're discussing. In the next slide, this is a short video of the end of the fire hose. And I'm just gonna run that quickly, just gives you an idea of some erosion that's happening. There have been hay bales put there, although moved around a bit. And the water runs down the hill into a swampy area. I think the last time we spoke, well, sorry, let me just give you, this is just a downhill looking up to those hay bales that are there. And as you can kind of see in through the area, there is erosion happening around these trees, etc. The last time we spoke, I misspoke. This is actually not just a low area. There is a stream that runs through this area, which I was unaware of. But so it is a flowing stream that the water district has been and proposes to continue to do to pump water into this stream. And as you can see, this is right along a cart path that's there. And I think was mentioned last time, there is a path that was to an old boathouse, but it's a pathway that's there. Right in this area is where the water goes underneath the pathway, and it is really not a proper culvert. It is what I would call a rock vein culvert, so an older style culvert that was made in the 20s or 30s, I think, probably 40, whatever, 30s, I guess, when they built the lake. In this picture here, there's runoff over this path that's happened already. You could see from the last pictures that there was a lot of leaves and debris, even in front of that rock vein. Some water does run through it, but a lot of it, I think even just from rainwater, runs over it. And certainly, I think with what the water district is talking about pumping, 330,000 gallons a day, the fear that we have is not only the area being flooded, but water running over this and continuing to erode the edge of the embankment. This is the outflow of the rock vein. So it's a pretty small area. And when I get down there and look, without getting on my knees and sticking my hand in there, I could not find a culvert. I believe it is just a rock vein. There's some erosion that's already along the shoreline. One more picture of that as well. Kind of along the shoreline. Looks like residents have put some rocks in there. But this area is eroding off as water flows over the top of this down into the lake. And that's, one of our concerns. We're concerned, I think, about this area. And we're not asking, or I'm not asking, for the commission to do anything special here. What I'm looking for is that the same rules are followed for the Lunenburg Water District that would be followed for any resident or Hickory Hills landowners, etc., if they were putting this type of water into the lake. We're concerned about possible pollutants from the, as I mentioned before, the higher manganese and iron that's in the lake, that's in the well, the PFAS that's in the well, as well as erosion that will come from water running over the top of this. So in my humble opinion, I think there needs to be a proper space for the water to go to, rather than just dumping it into a stream and hoping that it runs underneath the lake. I know that they've done that from the past. They've said that to me 100 times, that this is the way we've always done it. I think even though this is the way they've always done it, it doesn't seem like the right way to do it. And that's why I'm asking the commission to take a look at it.
Thank you, John. Are there any other comments associated with this from members of the public?
I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
me? Okay. Acting Chair, my name is Mark Bursch. I'm the Chairman of the Board of Water Commissioners. Typically, the past practice has been that the water superintendent has met with the conservation agent, reviewed plans for what we've been doing as far as testing, which it's really nothing new. Annually, we've been pumping this well at different rates to try and mitigate the levels of iron and manganese to a level that would be acceptable for public consumption. Of course, the new wrench that's got thrown into that plan is PFAS. In the past, we've checked the levels of iron and manganese in the lake, and they were higher than what we were pumping out of the well. I know that the Lake Association is working on some plans to test the water in the lake. We did a PFAS test, but Unbeknownst to us, the way you test for PFAS in a well compared to how you test in a surface body of water is completely different, so our test is not accurate. Our engineering firm, we consulted, typically they interact with the agent to work through these types of questions and come up with a plan. Our proposal does not allow for our engineering firm to file for an RDA, and also filing for an RDA would be quite costly to the district, which in turn is something that's costly to the residents. So I would ask that we allow the agent, the engineering firm, and our superintendent, and if we need additional commissioner from your board or our board to be able to meet and basically continue, a lot of our past practice.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any other comments from the public? Do we have any questions from fellow commissioners?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Rich.
just
Which
a couple
first?
quick questions. Number one, so we do not currently have accurate water testing of the well versus the lake. Is that correct?
We do as far as the iron and manganese go. I was told by the superintendent that both were tested, and the levels in the lake are higher than what we would be pumping out of the well.
Okay, and is that in such a form that can be presented?
I would make sure that he presents that information to your agent, whatever information we have, and I'd also welcome Mr. Fortune's information from testing that he's currently having done. But the thought would be that we're essentially pumping cleaner water into the lake than that is in the lake.
Okay. We don't yet have a copy of the proposal for the running of the well.
In the past, there's never been a proposal. I tried
Okay.
to reach out to the past agent to ask how it's been. Typically working within town departments or however they work out.
Okay.
Fran has contacted the past agent, who was Matt Morrow. They would go down and meet at the site. There were recommendations that the agent made. We would follow through with those recommendations. And in the interest of saving the community money, I would say probably similar to what we recently did for the Conservation Commission in allowing access through our newly paved parking lot up to an area where so a forestry plan was done in efforts to save them money in the project that they did. It just, everything that we request comes from the community's pockets. And I would trust in the agent that you have hired and her professionalism and our engineering firm to work together with the superintendent. And if obviously there was some sort of larger question, either include I'm assuming in the past, Matt might have included a board member, or Matt was very comfortable with his findings.
So I
to
happen to
either-
have here from, excuse me for a second, from Hickory Hills. They're describing this as a 250 gallon per minute run of the well for 12 months, a total of 131 million gallons.
So that.
How does that differ from what you're doing currently?
So in the past, we've run it 30 days at over 500 gallons a minute. We've tried running at lower levels to try to mitigate the iron and manganese. The most recent test was a full capacity test. So we've had varying levels and varying run times at different capacities. I would say at least over the last 5 or 6 years, trying to come up with, the thought was that if we ran it at a lower capacity, we might not draw in the iron and manganese from the outer veins and therefore kind of clean up the supply. That didn't work. We tried running at a larger capacity, thinking that that may work. You know, we've tried a bunch of different things until we've come to the, you know, realization that there's PFAS in the supply, and it's,
Okay, so
It's,
there's only been short-term runs. There hasn't been a 12-month run continuous of the well.
well, this current test is not a 12-month run.
Okay, how,
The test,
how
the
does,
test, the current test is probably, they said up to 250 gallons a minute. And I don't anticipating it, running a 12-month period. I'd have to get that exact, the exact runtime from the engineer. But the idea of the test is that the test is going to happen over a 12-month period.
okay. I guess as myself, Madam Chair, I don't see the financial burden of an RDA filing. I mean, we're talking a couple $100 in the filing and a couple hours of the engineer. I would imagine they've already taken most of all of these wetland concerns into consideration when they've done their designing. So I don't think, if designed properly, there should be any additional work on top of that.
There has been,
Given the term of this project, I do think that it definitely warrants a review by the commission. They are clearly pumping a substantial amount of water, subterranean water, into a currently existing wetland. So it is clearly in our jurisdiction to review this. And an IDA is the quickest, most financially responsible way to do it. I did also reach out to the agent, our previous agent, Matt Morrow, and he thought that this may be a circumstance that certainly would require some review, at least an RDA.
okay, I would disregard,
That was his-
disagree. Madam
Well,
Chair,
that was from the agent, so, but
Yeah.
those are my thoughts, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich Birch.
Madam Chair, if
I think I saw some other hands up, but before I get
Yep.
to the other hands, do any other conservation commissioners have questions? Okay, I'm not seeing other hands from conservation commissioners. Paula Bertram?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to comment, and I'm pleased to hear Commissioner Burris talk about the need for an RDA. The proposal from Ty and Bond, which Hickory Hills has reviewed and I have personally read, talk about a continual pumping for a period of 8 to 12 months. So it is an incredibly high volume of water, and I actually have the pumping data from the water district on how often the well has been pumped, and it's very infrequently. I actually have the exact number of days and the rates. An RDA is required for any project within 100 feet of a wetlands, regardless of whether you're a municipality or not. And in fact, DPW has also filed RDAs or notices of intent, depending on the complexity of the project. I've worked in a number of other towns with conservation commissions, and it is a routine practice. You can waive the fees for your municipality should you choose to do so. But the rules that apply to residents should also apply to government entities. And simply because it's a government entity, it should not be waived. And so I'm pleased to hear that at least one commissioner is recommending that the water district follow the rules of the Wetlands Protection Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. I'll call on Brett Ramsden now. Brett, we can't hear you. I think you might be on mute. Are you on mute? It doesn't show you're on mute. Your microphone wasn't picking up. No, okay. I think we're not going to be able to hear Brett. Nope. No, we still can't hear you. That's unfortunate. Sorry about that. Okay, Mark, we're back at you.
So to speak to the financial ramifications, the filing of the RDA is minimal. It's a notification of the 300+ residents, and the fact that our study does not have any of this funding for engineering. So we are looking at a engineering time. So to say it's minimal cost, it's not going to be minimal cost, and it's going to come from the district, which in essence is going to come from the residents of the district.
Thank you,
So,
Mark.
One more thing, Madam Chair.
Oh,
Should-
sorry. I didn't mean to
should
cut
this-
you off.
That's okay, you didn't cut me off. Should this come to an RDA, I would ask that you waive the notification of all the abutters. Because of it being the lake, then an abutter is anybody that's a member of the Lake Association. And being a part of the Woodlands, it would be everybody in the Woodlands. So the notification is quite costly. And I would ask that if this does come to an RDA, that you waive the notification and limit it to Hickory Hills Lake Association and the Woodlands Board of Trustees. That would at least ease the pain a little bit.
Thank you for that recommendation. Rich Birch, you had further comments?
Yeah, I don't think that they're responsible for notifying any abutters that are outside of the 300-foot threshold from the project, which would be the discharge end of the hose. Anybody in the Lake Association would get notification through the association itself. I don't think they're responsible to notify everybody around the lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Paula, did you put your hand back up or is it just still up?
No, I did put my hand back up, and I just want to comment on the notification of abutters. And I was actually going to say what Mr. Burst just said, is that it's anyone within the 300-foot radius of the discharge area. And I would urge the commission not to waive the requirement. I'm certainly familiar with the process of doing an RDA. There is a certificate of mailing that can be used instead of certified mail to save some costs. And I understand the pain of doing it. I've done it numerous times. And in my case, it's 300 feet within the lake. So it's a much bigger undertaking. And as a private corporation, it certainly is a costly endeavor, but it's the cost of doing business. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Mark, your hand is still up.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it down. I would
Oh,
just,
okay.
I would just end
I-
and say that I would wish that I think this is something that could be looked at by the agent and a member of your committee, and in the interest of working together as a community, accomplish the same thing. Unfortunately, I'm just trying to save undue expense to the district and the residents of the district, because I think it's going to come to the same conclusion.
Thank you, Mark. If you go down to your reactions, for me, it's in the bottom part of the window, and click
There we go.
on that. You should, yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Rich Tremblay, did you have questions, comments?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple. I'm not really familiar with this area. My first question is, during the presentation, the hay bales seem to be spaced apart from one another instead of being together, which would allow more water flow in the direction of the lake. Was there a reason that they were installed that way? And my next question too is, not being familiar with that area, is the water being discharged? Could it go another way? Could it be redirected so that it would be absorbed into the ground and hopefully reduce the flow directly into the lake? Those are my questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, can I?
Yes.
So I can
Mark.
answer that since I presented, if you'd like.
Why don't we go with Mark, and then
Sure.
John, you can fill in.
So
After.
I believe that the hay bales were probably relocated after the last pump. The thought is that the hay bales would be connected, that somehow they either been moved physically after they were put in place. I believe they were meant to be connected. As far as answering, if you visit that area, it's kind of naturally like a settling or a vernal pool type area. I do understand that, there are times of the year that the water may flow over, but I think that's an occurrence without us doing pumping. So I don't think that that's something that's created by the pumping. it is something that we could look at if, again, if we were working together with your agent, we have no problem working together to try to communicate what's happening down there.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Fortune, was there anything that you wanted to add?
Yes, thank you. So the area where the water is discharged from the hoses is probably 50 to 75 feet from the stream. Up a hill, it's about a 30-degree angle of that hill. Simply, the hay bale should be eliminated, and they should have another fire hose that gets all the way down to the bottom of the hill. That's the first thing. That stops any erosion on that banking at all. So that's really a simple solution to fix that. And they should be required to do that to eliminate any erosion on that hillside. So that's an easy part. The second piece of it is when the water gets to the bottom of the hill, it should be allowed to settle. And that's where, you know, I'd like some, or certainly Hickory Hills landowners would like some input from the commission that says, okay, look at that area. And is it allowed to settle in that area, or is it just going to flow out? If it just flows out, then, you know, that for us is the problem. We'd like the water to be able to settle at the bottom, to leave any nutrients that it drags down with it into that area, so that the water the water can settle there and then flow out, which would mean actually rising the pipe a little bit so it has some puddling, if you will, in that area. But again, that's beyond what I can provide, and that's really what I think what we're asking the commission to do.
Thank you, Mr. Fortune. We'll go back to Rich Birch.
Madam Chair, I might just suggest, this is kind of hashing out questions that would be in a normal RDA process. Perhaps a straw poll of members on if we will require them to file an RDA through us might help move our agenda along a bit.
Thank you. That was exactly where I was thinking we were going. Mark, I see you have your hand up again.
Yeah, just a quick point. The setup that is there is what was recommended by the previous conservation agent. And if water is naturally coming up and going over that area, if we're gonna pump that area and say we do bring the water up and it goes over that area, but it still is a naturally occurring event, I don't see the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And I think we are going to go do a straw poll of the commissioners just to get a sense of whether where everybody is inclined with regard to a formal RDA on that. So we'll do a straw poll. Bob Pease has recused himself. Rich Birch, where do you fall on this?
I would be in favor of an RDA filing for this project.
Thank you. Jeff Viviano.
I would be the same. I'd be in favor of filing RDA, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Katie Childs.
I'd be in favor of filing an RDA.
Mike LaRouche.
Madam Chair, I too would be in favor of the RDA for this project.
Rich Tremblay.
Madam Chair, I am also in favor of filing an RDA.
And I myself would vote similarly to be in favor of an RDA. Okay.
So I guess you're saying we have to file an RDA?
Yes, that is exactly what it sounds like. We have to go, we're asking you to go and submit an RDA.
How about my suggestion to limit the notifications to the Hickory Hills Landowners Association and the Board of Trustees for the Woodlands?
Well, so I think that's a valid suggestion, but how does that differ from the 300 foot from the discharge area?
when you get into 300-foot discharge area or 300 feet from the area, you're in the lake. The lake is
Mhm.
owned by the landowners association. And then there's every member of. So then do we have to notify every member of the landowners association? Or is notification of the landowners association sufficient?
Do we have any precedents with this, talking to other commissioners on the specific point of notification?
Yeah, Madam Chair, again, I don't think they have to notify every member of an association. They have to notify the association or the listed owner of the property. So the 300 feet will probably, unless I'm wrong, may have 20 or 25 abutters on there. I myself don't see a reason why they are not entitled to notification of this. Thank you.
I would agree with that. I'm just trying to limit that type of work. And then you'd be looking at our engineer to do the filing, obviously.
We
Or is
can't
it something
dictate
that
how
we can-
somebody, we can't dictate how somebody would turn around and file their applications.
Thank you.
So I think I am, Paula, did you have your hand back up again?
I do. I just want to comment on I would agree with the Commissioner Bursch that the Hickory Hills Landowners Incorporated, which is a corporation formed under Mass law, is the owner of the lake. It's not every individual property owner. It's the board of directors acting on behalf of the Hickory Hills landowners. So I would agree that that's a notification, but there are also other properties within that 300-foot radius. And I would urge the commission to require notification, just as they do with any other filing, to give people that potentially could be affected the opportunity to comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. I don't see any reason to deviate from the 300 foot notification. And I believe it would be limited to from the discharge. And it sounds like we also have pretty clear direction and have no dissent in the interpretation that the homeowners association is the owner of the lake and not each individual that is a member of that homeowners association. Do we have any further comments from commissioners? And from my fellow commissioners, do we need to take further action on this particular topic as it stands right now?
Madam Chair, I don't believe we do. I think we've given them direction that they need to file on RDA for the project of the discharge into the wetland.
Thank you, Rich. And I don't see any other comments from other commissioners, so we will close this topic and move on to the next. I will hand the podium back to our normal chairman, Bob Pease.
Thank you, Mary.
You, Bob.
The next order of business is minutes of the previous meeting, December 7th. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Motion by Rich, second by Richard. Roll call, Rich.
Aye.
Jeff,
Rich Burr says aye.
Jeff,
Jeff says aye.
Katie.
Aye.
Mike,
Mike says aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and Richard.
Richard says aye as well.
Thank you. And how about December 21st? I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of December 21st.
So moved, Mike?
Second,
Sec-
Mary.
All right, roll call, Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and Richard.
Aye as well.
All right, on to our first public hearing and only public hearing. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Nancy Malady for the replacement of one lakefront retaining wall and two non-lakefront retaining walls, the removal of an existing deck, and a 386-foot addition to a single-family residential structure at 406 Sunset Lane. I would note for the record that this is not, as far as I know, this has not yet been issued a DEP number or received comments. And I would make my standard statement at this point that I urge the applicant, if they have a copy of the canceled check, to forward it to the relevant people at the DEP to try to expedite the issuance of a DEP number with comments. I imagine, Greg, you're here for this?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Would you like to share your screen?
Yes, I would.
Why don't you
Thank
do
you very
that?
much.
Well, let me see if I've got, I think I turned it off before. Let me turn it back on. I have turned it back on.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if I can. Okay, how is that? Can everybody see that?
I certainly can see it.
Okay, super. Well, thanks, everybody. For the record, my name is Greg Roy with Dillison Roy Civil Design Group. And I'm here representing the applicants this evening. They are here on the call with us this evening. And so I'll just give you a brief overview of the site. I know some of you have had the opportunity to go out and visit the site over the last week or so. I know others of you are likely very familiar with the site already, but I'll just give you an overview here. So the property, as noticed, is at 406 Sunset Lane, which is out at the very end of Sunset Lane, way out at the very end of the peninsula. The property currently has a single family, single bedroom house, which is shown. Let me see if I can bear with me here one second. The existing house is located like this. And then there's also an existing deck that is out proud of the existing house that is located in that location there. So the yellow highlight on the screen is the limits of the existing building on the site. There is also several retaining walls that are located on the property. There's a retaining wall that's right along the edge of the water, which is located here. I'm not going to highlight the whole thing, but it goes all the way around the peninsula, right along the edge of the water. It's made out of railroad ties, and it's quite old. Several decades, I will say. I'm not sure on the exact age, but very old and certainly in need of replacement. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. There's also two other walls. There's another sort of terraced wall that goes all the way around the property that you can see in this dark sort of inner ring or oval shape inside or landward of the lake wall. And then there's also a smaller wall that's located right in here for a third terraced area on this side of the property. The site is also has quite a few trees on it. It's a mix of oak trees and pine trees. I'm not a botanist, but primarily white pine and I think oak trees. There may be a maple or two in there as well. And then the balance actually between the two, the lake wall and the first wall that wraps around the house is primarily lawn area, with the exception that the northerly portion of the property up in this area here is the paved drive area on the property. So the applicant is proposing to do two primary things on the site. The first is they're looking to turn this into their permanent residence. The property is quite small. It's a single-story house. It has a kitchen, and they could, Nancy, feel free to chime in here if I get something wrong, but it has a very small kitchen that you walk into, and then a very small, on the northerly side, a very small bedroom area, and then the balance of it is the living area. And so they would like to put they would like to go up on this property and put some additional living space on a second floor. The trouble is you'd have to go into the house, which I had the opportunity to do when I first met with the applicants, but there really is no place to put a staircase to the second floor in the house. So as a result, they're looking at expanding the footprint, and they're looking to do that in the area of the existing deck. So they're looking to basically convert a portion of the deck area within the same footprint of the deck, no closer to the lake than the existing deck structure, and convert that to a part of the house structure where they would expand the kitchen area, have some space for a larger bedroom area, and also the staircase up to a loft area on the second floor. So that's, and then they would reattach the deck in the same configuration. So the result of this would be that you would have a little bit more roof area, but the overall footprint of the deck and house combination would remain the same on the site. And then because the retaining walls are quite dated, made out of railroad ties, really have probably long since used up their useful life. They are looking to upgrade that to a stone retaining wall. They've reached out to Mr. Ramsden, who I know that the commission is very familiar with, who is actually working on the adjacent, will be working on the adjacent wall for the Crolls, which has an open order conditions on it. And they are looking to replace the lake wall and also the other walls on the property with that type of upgraded natural stone wall treatment. So we have filed for both of those activities. We're showing, I don't want to talk too long because I know you have more things to do on the agenda, and I'm sure you have a couple of questions, but you'll note, I think on the plan, if you can see it, that the two heavy dashed lines on either side of the wall are intended to allow for phasing of the construction here. So the applicants are looking to construct to do the work related to the house first. So we anticipate putting a line of erosion control barriers on the uphill side of the existing lake wall. Once that work is completed and the area is stabilized, that could be removed. And prior to the construction of the lake wall, the lower erosion control barrier would be placed during a drawdown period where you have exposed lake bottom there, where we could get some erosion control barrier in there and do that construction during that time after the construction of the house. So that's why we have two erosion control barriers in there. It's meant for a phasing approach to the project. There are a couple of trees that we're proposing to remove, which would be required to do the construction for the on the house. So there are there's a 12-inch maple right here that is actually already dead that we're proposing to remove, which is right in this location here. This is a little difficult to read. I apologize for this, but there's a 16-inch pine and a 20-inch pine also that are in very close proximity to the existing deck right here and right here that we're proposing to remove. And then the other one, there's a leaning oak tree
that's pretty close to the to the structure that the applicants would like to remove, which is right in this location on this dot right here. We do anticipate mitigating for that, for the loss of those trees, but we wanted to sort of get this before your commission to review the merits of the project here, understanding that there's not a DEP file number issued yet. We will certainly reach out to DEP prior to the next hearing, but we are interested in hearing any questions or comments that the commissioners may have this evening. Anticipating looking ahead, hopefully we can address any of those and any comments that DEP may have in the interim prior to the next meeting. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will stop and happy to take any questions that you or the commission members may have.
Thank you, Greg. Are there any comments or questions from commissioners? Jeff Viviano.
Yeah, Greg, first question, Title V, did this pass when it was sold? And is it a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom?
Thanks, Jeff. Great question. Yes, it did pass. I believe it's a 1-bedroom, correct, Nancy? Yep. So yes, it did pass the Title V, and actually it is shown here. There's a the existing tank is this gray rectangle here, and the trench kind of goes out.
Just the one trench?
Yep.
Okay. And do you know the history on that, when it was completed, or?
I do not. I could look that up for you, but I don't know when that was.
Okay, oh, that's fine. And then I would assume it's going to stay. The number of bedrooms won't change. They'll just have more room downstairs and a bedroom upstairs.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no opportunity to increase flow on the site because there's no.
Okay.
You'll notice that I'm not showing a buffer zone or a 50-foot no touch or a 30-foot no touch on the property because there's not really. I might be able to show a small 30-foot area outside of the 30-foot no touch, but the property is quite narrow. This is a 10 scale plan that you're looking at here, so
no, I'm
quite small.
Very familiar with the lot. I live right down the street, so welcome to the neighborhood. And another question I have is the water tends to get fairly deep fairly quickly around that south side of the peninsula and even that easterly side. Would the construction of the wall be done from land or would it be done from the lake? I think Brett would probably be the one to answer that, but I don't know if he's on the Zoom meeting anymore.
We can get that answer for you. I think
he's on the Zoom meeting. He wasn't able to speak. He might be able to take and give responses to questions through the chat if he can't use his microphone. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go back, Greg.
Okay. I mean, just the history of the lake this year, it was down close to 6 feet. And with all the rain that we've had in December, it's probably come up to being down only about 2.5, maybe 3 feet now. So, and it's come up at a pretty quick rate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I mean, in my estimation, it would kind of almost have to be done in sections with a quick retreat if need be, to kind of get out of that area and stabilize it instead of like tearing down that whole section. But Brett's kind of the pro at that. He did a great job right across the lake at that other house. Just a replacement of trees. There's some area to do some replanting since you are taking some trees down. There's a substantial amount of trees on that property as well, but maybe we can get some maybe a little closer to the water down by the wall. That would be just a suggestion from my end. As far as the deck, removing that and replacing it with a living structure, I think we really need to hear from DEP on that and see what they think. But my recollection, that deck is only about a foot, maybe 1.5 feet off the ground, and I don't really see any kind of impact that it could possibly have putting a roof over that versus a deck, in my opinion. And with the improvements that are being done to the lake wall itself and that expense, you know, I think we need to look at each property individually, which we've always done in the past. And I think this individual project, I think we can, at least my opinion, have a little leeway there, since they are going to use this as their permanent residence. So that's about all I can think of right now for my suggestions. But again, I really think we need to wait for DEP to really go too deep into this. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, I'm gonna call on Richard Bursch. Oh, and by the way, before you get going, Rich, I got a message from Brett Ramsden that yes, the wall at this location would all be constructed from above, from the land side.
Excellent. Thanks, Bob.
Richard, floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. So Greg, I'm just confirming that the house addition is a basement being installed there with frost walls coming up, or is it just a footing with frost walls?
They would like to do a basement, Rich. I think, and I think looking at the grades, we think we can do that. It's quite actually the top of the first floor on that house is actually quite high relative to the lower terrace area.
Mhm.
So they would like to put a basement under it.
All right, so the finished grade will match the pre-construction grade when you're done?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Honestly, the foundation probably had, like Mr. Viviano said, I think the deck surface is probably a couple feet above grade. So to get a frost wall to match existing grades there, to get a frost wall in there, you're probably going to have to basically excavate as deep as you would for a basement anyway. If you follow me, you'd have to have 2 feet of foundation exposed, and you have to have a 4-foot frost wall. So you're talking about only probably going an extra foot or so for a finished basement, or not a finished basement, a full basement. So they would be that's another reason why they're looking at doing it.
Okay, and it does list on the plan that the new concrete precast blocks are the same dimensions as the existing railroad tie wall now?
Yeah, there's a little discrepancy on the plan. The applicants really do want to use a natural stone wall. Initially, we had set things up for a concrete block, but they do indeed want to do a natural stone wall. We'll correct that on the, there's a note or two that carries the concrete blocks, but the detail you can see here, if I can zoom in, that we did a cross section here.
Yeah.
You can see here that we're showing the naturalized stone.
Okay.
Yes, we will hold the face of the wall at the location of the face of the existing wall, so that we will not have any floodplain filling issues to deal with.
Super, so, okay, we all have no encroachment there. So one side of the deck says it's enclosed. The part that you're removing, is that also enclosed?
The part that we're removing, no, so this is a little bit tricky to see, but let me see if I can shade this in a little bit for you. This portion here is open, and then this entire portion here is open,
Okay,
all up in there. This portion down here is a enclosed, I guess we call it a deck. We really should probably call it a porch. It's a porch.
Right.
So we intend to keep that as is. So I think what happens is you just have a secondary access point over in this location. So this deck wraps around to provide the access for that.
okay, and are you proposing any dry wells or anything to capture the runoff from the additional impervious surface being added here?
We are not rich on this plan, but it's certainly something that I thought about doing, and I thought you might ask.
Okay.
So there's definitely an opportunity to do that. We could definitely, it's very good sandy soil in this area, as I think you're aware. So we could definitely capture the roof runoff and infiltrate that to ensure that the post-developed runoff conditions, infiltration conditions, I guess, are the same.
Okay, yeah, that would, for me to be in favor of it within the 30 and the 50 no build zone and the no disturbance zone, the post-construction runoff should be equal to or less than the pre-construction runoff. So you should have that in place if you can.
Yep.
And the other two questions are, where we can't approve it tonight anyways, can we get a proposed replanting of the 3 live trees being removed?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I do want to talk about that a little bit more, but maybe I'll just wait until the end if that's okay.
Okay, Yeah, because I did view, and it looks like the oak on the left side you're taking out does extend quite a ways over the lake now, providing some shading, so we should try to get that back at some point in the future if we can. And it is very well treed, so I don't think putting a smaller trees in for the time being is going to give much of a problem. And I think those were all of the questions I had. Thank you, Greg. Oh, I did have one other question for the, where you have a specialized construction schedule. Can you put that in writing and submit it as well? As far as the staging and ensuring that the outer wall replacement will be done at drawdown? And perhaps
Yeah.
even a schedule for doing sections in case we do get a year like this, that the drawdown is not as effective as other years.
Yeah, we could beef up we have a construction sequence here, but we can, we call it erosion control sequence, but we
Yep.
can definitely, beef this up a little bit, Rich.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Richard. Mary Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have the question about how many trees actually are proposed to be removed, because I think Rich's first glance was different than mine. I thought I counted 7 with 2 of a footnote that they might be dead.
Well, now I'm seeing here, we actually do have one more here, right in this area, right there.
Yeah, there were 2 on that side. The one that bends so far over and then the pine that's next to it.
Yeah.
Then when Mary and Anna were here on the weekend, the pine also on that same side further north
This one,
is, he's telling me he can't see me pointing, but I was describing.
is it this one here?
Yeah, that's the one, I think, that we were showing, Mary, that it's got all cracks through the whole trunk. Like it looks like, I don't know if that's considered partially dead, that one.
Yeah, it's got a lot of, looks like woodpecker damage to it.
Yeah, it looked like some old historic lightning strikes or something had,
Yeah, something, I'm not sure. So
yeah,
yeah, I guess
big
it,
wide streak down the side.
right. So I guess, yeah, 1, 2, 3, so 3 on each side. So I guess it would be 6.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have likely a crane in there to get those out, it would certainly make sense if there's a tree like that, that's maybe doesn't have much life left anyway. It's a strong windstorm away from, well, falling into the lake. There's no real way it could fall without going into the lake.
Right.
It might make sense to take it out and then we have the opportunity to mitigate for it.
Thank you, Mary. Anything else, Mary?
Yeah, the tree that is right adjacent to the dock, we think that one is going to stay. It was in real close proximity to the dock.
Down here,
Right.
Mary?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
We didn't expect to take it down unless somebody thinks it has.
Okay. Nope. Just asking for clarification. That's
Okay.
all. Yeah. No, I don't have any further questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Mary. Jeff Viviano.
Yes, Bob, I just thought of one more question. Is this going to be a complete tear down and rebuild of the existing structure as well with a foundation? Or is that to stay as is, keep the walls and just go up?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. No, they would like to keep the structure. They may do some foundation improvements, just to try to get some more insulation value into there, in places. Frame it off, if you will, so that they can get an insulated wall in there and don't have to have the draft underneath the foundation, but they are not intending on demoing the existing structure, only adding to it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Hey. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? The things that I heard so far, Greg, was that you're gonna take and show that the wall is gonna be natural stone rather than block. That you're gonna take and propose some dry wells to not, so that the runoff is no greater than it is right now. That you gotta come in with a replanting plan. You gotta make it clear that you're cutting down, that you're asking to cut down 6 trees.
Yep.
You're gonna beef up your construction schedule. And I believe that's the things that I heard from my notes. Did I
Yeah,
miss
well,
any? Does
yeah.
anyone think I missed anything, or what we should be asking Greg to do before our next meeting, which hopefully by then we'll have a DEP number?
Mr. Chairman, that's consistent with my notes.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Jeff.
just one other minor thing, if they were thinking of replacing those docks, just to put some kind of notation of that as well, but just to save time in the future.
The Malatis, are you planning to replace the docks at some point in the next 3 years?
No,
So-
the two docks that are over on the left side, I don't know, the west.
The west.
Are in great shape, so we don't plan to do anything with those. And then the one on the east side, when we spoke with Brett, I think Dave could describe it better. You're gonna put
Yeah,
in
that-
eye walls or something?
That existing dock there is cantilevered out from the wall. There's no support directly underneath through the water. And Brett was suggesting some sort of I-beam construction or something to come out of the new wall, just as it is out of the existing wall, and to simply replace it with a new dock, but exactly as is now.
And so I would suggest to you that you try to firm that up with Brett before 2 weeks from now and communicate that with Greg. So Greg can include it in the plan so that it's clear that it's something that's been permitted by the, through this application.
Okay,
That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, it's a great, thanks for that comment, Bob, or Jeff, whoever said that. Yeah, we can do a detail on that. Work with Brett and the applicants to do a detail on that so that we have it captured. So I appreciate that.
I personally, so long as the runoff, so long as you can show that there's no increase in runoff, I have no trouble with converting some deck to house. And I personally have no trouble with the removal of the 6 trees, so long as we're provided with a replanting plan, that shows the replacement. I'd just like to do a straw poll tonight, so there's no surprises of the other commissioners to see where they stand on those 2 issues, because I see those as potentially the 2 biggest issues here. So I'm going to start with, we're not signing any blank checks tonight, but I just want to get a feeling, are there any, no one should get struck by lightning on a sunny day. If there's some issues here, I'd like to know what they are tonight. And I'm going to start with Rich Birch.
No, I think you have covered them all in your notes, and Greg's usually a pretty good note keeper. Just that the replacement trees in the schedule are the same varieties and habits as the trees that are there. Because that'll allow, as those trees start to mature, some of the mature trees now will start to decline and be removed. So it's hard to put in, landscape type trees to take the place of oaks and white pines. That would be my only comment to the tree replacement, and everything else you've covered. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would be in favor of the project as with those changes.
Thank you, Richard.
depending
Jeff,
on these comments.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rich.
Yeah, no, and that would be dependent on DEP's comments as well.
Yeah, right. Excellent point. Excellent point. We have to see what DEP has to say. Jeff Viviano.
Yeah, I mean, no surprises. I think you know my opinion. I'm in favor of essentially as designed with some more detail put in as we discussed.
Thank you. Katie?
I would also be in favor of those 2 items, the house and the trees. I think it's very creative what has been done here. And yeah, depending on DEP's comments, I'd be in favor.
Thank you. Mike LaRouche?
I'm in favor of the suggestions that have been made. I just had a question about when the trees are removed, will the root systems stay intact, or are those being planned to be uprooted?
I think we would be needing to remove the roots on this, in this case, Mike, because, in the case of the three on the east, we'll have to remove them to do the really all of them, to do the construction for the, foundation work. I think the root masses will have to come out.
What do you think the impact will be to the soil and?
Yeah, we have the advantage here of having a terrace site. So, you know, there is some, I'm not gonna say it's flat, but there is some slope there, but it's the walls really create sort of a flat spot, and the trees are planted on that, mainly on that upper terrace. It gets a little bit steeper as you go around the side. So, I mean, I think we're going to be okay, particularly the type of soils that we have here are very sandy. They don't really want to wash. You know, if you think about it's not like a glacial till or a silty type soil that would, you know, come out looking like a cup of coffee coming off the site. It's really quite sandy. So, I mean, we can take that under advisement. I can see if we can come up with a plan for that. Maybe incorporate that into the construction sequence so that we're restoring that area as soon as possible. Maybe we could even do it with some erosion control matting, just to make sure that we have some, you know, some good, you know, erosion protection there. But I think in this case, I think they'd have to come out in this case. I mean, really, to build the wall, you really don't have much space between the retaining wall and the in the foundation in the case of these trees, and they're going to have to come in there with the excavator. Right? That's where they're going to stage to come in and do the foundation work here. So I think you're really going to have to take them out.
All right, I understand. I thank you for the consideration and look forward to hearing what DEP's comments might be on the project. But so far, it sounds pretty good.
Thank you, Mike. Mary Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in favor of the project with the, you know, caveats and consideration that we've already noticed about the, you know, managing the roof runoff, the revegetation plan with similar, you know, varieties and habit, adding the notes about the natural stone wall, and then of course with the dependency on the DEP comments. But I look forward to seeing the progress that's made on this.
Thank you, Mary. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be in favor as well with the considerations that we've given here this evening. Also, I want to wait though and see the DEP comments on the project.
Yeah, we're not approving this tonight, to be clear, but I just wanted to see, you know, if there were issues that, you know, that needed to be addressed. I want the reason for the straw poll is, you know, to make it clear, because I saw those as the two biggest potential problems, you know, based on what we've learned so far. So it appears though they're not problems. So, you know, so I'm sure Greg will go back, do his homework. We'll come back with an updated plan 2 weeks from now, and hopefully by then we'll have a DEP number and DEP comments.
Yeah, and listen, on behalf of the applicants, I really do appreciate, we really do appreciate you doing that type of analysis for us, a straw poll vote, because it really does, it really is productive for us, helps us understand all the issues and whether or not we have any, you know, sort of pitfalls. So thank you very much. We will certainly be responsive to all the, I did take good notes, and we'll be responsive to all those and any comments that DEP throws at us. So I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I want to skip ahead in the agenda to election of officers before someone turns into a pumpkin and leaves us here.
Mr. Chair, don't we have to continue the hearing? Did we vote?
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. Yes, we must continue this here. Thank you, Katie. We must continue this hearing until 1 week from tonight, which is, I believe, the 18th, January 18th at 7 PM. I'm looking for a motion to continue.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this hearing till January
you.
18th.
Thank you.
And I
Katie.
second,
Richard.
Mike,
Okay, motion by Katie, second by Mike, roll call, Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
All righty.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
All right, I'd like to skip ahead to election of officers if all members are present. Because all members are present for the first time in 6 months. And so I'm gonna open the floor for the election of a chair.
I would nominate Bob Pease for chairman of the Conservation Commission.
I would second
Second.
that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, Rich.
You have to ask if there's any other nominations
Oh, I'm
first.
so sorry. How presumptuous, how presumptuous of me. Are there any other nominations? I didn't think anybody else wanted the job. I'm gonna take this brief moment of silence as that there are no other nominations, and now I'm gonna take a roll call vote. Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and Richard.
Aye as well.
Thank you so much. I'd like to open the nominations for a vice chair.
I would nominate Mary Wilson as vice chair.
Thank you, Richard.
I
Richard would
second
second.
that.
Mike LaRouche seconds it. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? I would just say that I am so pleased that Mary is willing to be vice chair with the idea that someday she might become chair, because I don't want to do this forever. Roll call, Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. And finally, open the floor for nominations for someone to be our clerk.
I would nominate, oh, Jesus. Richard Tremblay.
Richard Tremblay.
I second, Mike.
Are there any further nominations?
Point of order, sir.
Yes, sir.
What would my responsibilities be as clerk?
You chair you basically, as far as I can tell, the only, it used to be the clerk, looked at the minutes. Lately I've been doing that. But you're welcome to take that over. And to chair the meeting if both the vice chair and chair are not here.
Thank you. I'll accept it.
And work with the administrator annually for the annual report.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Richard. See, we need somebody who's actually done this job for a longer time than me, who knows what needs to be done. If there are no other nominations, we'll do a roll call vote. Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. Oh, we got that behind us. It only took us 6 months and a week.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for
Congratulations,
volunteering.
everybody.
Thank you.
I'm gonna take things out a little more out of order. I went and I finally caught the people who live at 104 Woodland Drive at home. And they had just recently purchased the property. And we went around the back and it was clear to see that it must be, he had no knowledge of any encroachments. The encroachments that showed on the plan were clearly not there. They must have been removed by the prior owners, but they never notified us. And so our entire round of prior encroachments has now been resolved. I sent the commissioners 4 more encroachments, which I updated. And I'm asking for with photos, that from the updated 2021 aerial photos. All of these appear to be sheds and structures, on conservation land. And I'm asking for authorization to request that the town attorney, send some letters to these people, saying, we think you haven't encroached. This is our evidence. If you have other evidence or a different idea, please let us know. Otherwise, please remove the encroachments, and hopefully everyone will just do it. So,
Only the world was that perfect.
I'm sorry, Rich?
I said, if only the world was that perfect.
Yes. Well, but it happened in 4 of the 5 cases last time that people removed their stuff without.
Yeah.
So,
You are right. I would make a motion that we ask the attorney to send out letters notifying these 4 landowners that they are possibly encroaching on town property.
thank you, Richard.
I second that, a motion.
All right, roll call,
motion.
Rich.
Aye.
I'm sorry, further discussion? Hearing none. Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. Grant applications proposal update. Mary, would you like to take that or start that off? And if I have anything to add, I will.
Sure. So, as we've discussed in previous Conservation Commission meetings, it was our intention to write a proposed planning grant for 3 properties. Table Rock for a parking area, Reno for a parking area, and then in the Harley Wildlife area of section of Cowdrey to improve the access road and improve the parking along that area as well. And Bob and Greg and I, Greg being the engineering consultant, went out and walked those properties on, I think it was Monday morning, and discussed putting in, where we might want to put in the parking areas. And Greg had some really good ideas about Table Rock and some potentials there. I had been, as you can imagine, kind of poring over the grant templates that we have to submit. And one of the big differences that I see in the grant template this year over what I've seen in historical grants, and you may recall I wrote one on behalf of the Lunenburg Snow Riders last year, and certainly had a lot of reference material provided to me by Bob for previous grant that he had written, and by Paula Bertram from grants she had previously written. But the big change this year is all trails must be compliant to the trail accessibility requirement guidelines as put out by the Forestry Service. So with that, it means that our parking area plans need to be compliant as well, so that we'll be able to execute on them. And also the Harold Harley wildlife area will need to have accessible parking there as well. We've notified the engineering consultant so that he can be sure to include any extra time he might need in doing that type of survey and plan development in the quotes that he'll be giving us that we'll submit for budget support from this grant. The goal here is to be able to get these drawings with sufficient detail and consideration so that moving forward in the future, we would be able to use them for all of our permitting activities, for parking, RDAs, et cetera, so that we would be able to execute on those plans and or submit for future budget support via Mass Trails grants or other applicable grants. Anything else, Bob, that I missed?
Well, I would just say that, first of all, there was some discussion at a prior meeting about a picnic area at a small town forest, and we've abandoned that idea for now, thinking that this is more, what Mary just talked about is already gives us a very full plate.
Yeah,
And the-
potentially for like 6 or 8 years, I would think.
And also, while we were out at the Harold Harley site, Mary noted that that part of the Cowdrey, there's no way to get to the rest of Cowdrey, because of Mulpus Brook, and she proposed also asking Greg to write a grant to put a bridge. Right, there's an old dam structure there, right by the Harold Harley viewing platform. There's the opportunity to possibly put a bridge there, a footbridge, so that you could get, so you could, and then build a trail. And I'm gonna go out and look probably tomorrow morning myself to make sure we can put a trail, because the property is a little on the narrow side between where the swamp is and where the abutting property line is. But we might also add a bridge, ask Greg to write a fourth proposal there. Greg believes, and I've gotten some reinforcement in a phone conversation with Matt, that it would be possible to take and put a small wetlands crossing directly into the parking lot off of Northfield Road. And so he's exploring that. And Greg did note when we were at the Harold Harley that probably, we'd be talking about raising the level of the road, which would be filling a floodplain, that area is floodplain. So we'd have to do some compensation for filling the floodplain there. So it's likely that all three of these projects would have to go to site plan review with the planning board. So I would just add those other things.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? And so the other thing I would add is that Greg thought he'd have no trouble getting us quotes before our next meeting so that the commission could see the exact financial impact, and we'd have a concrete thing to vote on, to approve these grants going forward, at our next meeting. So, so that is our plan, to have some definite quotes by the next meeting for the commission to consider. Anything else? Seeing no comments, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item, which is Hollis Road residents. Mike, any updates there?
I just want to report that J&R Glass did come back on the 29th of December, finish the exterior caulking on some of the windows. And also the tenant wanted to get some she wanted to know how to lock some of the windows. She was having issues with it, but then I followed up on the 29th, and she said that J&R Glass did come in and they were very helpful. And she now has functioning brand new windows. So that's a good thing to happen. Yay.
Sure.
And also, I just wanted to remind the commission that we're still planning on that furnace cleaning on January 16th by Cam Heating, who's scheduled to be there to do that preventive cleaning for their furnace.
Thank you, Mike. Were you able to reach out to, I think it was Jassy Bratko or somebody from North County Land Trust and address their questions so that they can close up their file on us?
You know, I did not. I was expecting an email from you, I thought, and I just never got one. So unless I did not
No, you never
receive
got
it,
an email from me. Is that something I said?
that was something you did say.
Well, and it's also something I forgot all about, so.
Okay, I probably should have reminded you. I apologize. Bob, for-
No, so, I'm writing it down, so it might actually happen this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
So,
But as soon as I get it, I will follow up, this week, or
all right, thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Administrative determination, 70 Pine Grove Road. Can you educate us about this, Anna?
Yes, so let me bring up the,
Let me see if I have screen sharing enabled. I do now.
okay. Okay, I'm just sharing the paperwork I filled out for when I went to this address. Not the homeowner, but the people that were doing work on the house, they were doing roof repair on this house located at 70 Pine Grove Road, which is Wallen Lake. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but they wanted some branches trimmed. So there was 2 trees. Both of them are about like 10 inches in diameter, right against the house, pretty much definitely within the 50 foot. There was a pine and a red maple. So they were touching the roof of the area that was being repaired. And they wanted to know if they could just trim those branches that were directly touching the roof. The homeowners have no plans on removing any of the trees. They like all of their trees along their house. They just strictly wanted to have the branches that were touching the roof along with the roof repairs that were being done. So I had come up with this determination for them to do the limbing of those trees.
Any comments or questions from commissioners?
Whalum Park for a
Whalum.
Whalum Park for a whale of a time.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a motion to approve this administrative determination.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Okay, motion by Rich, and I think the first second I heard was from Richard. Roll call, Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Mary, Mary?
Oh,
No, Mary,
she must have
I
stepped
said
away.
aye. You guys
Oh.
can hear me?
did
Yep.
not hear you.
Aye. All right.
And now, thank you.
Richard,
aye as well.
and I for myself. Enforcement, anything new on enforcement, Anna?
So actually, before we go into enforcement, I believe we wanted to possibly go over the other administrative determination for Jeff's property for those trees,
Oh,
or should we make that for the next?
we could do that under, tell us about it, then we'll make a decision.
Okay, so this is just another administrative determination. Received this yesterday from Jeff Viviano. This is a property at 338 338 Sunset Lane, for a couple of trees on his property. One had fallen during a windstorm, as well as another one was damaged. The request is to have so the tree that was damaged from the windstorm has a broken branch. They want that removed, as well as removing a dead tree that had fallen into the lake itself at Lake Shirley.
And so I had suggested to Anna, she do this as an emergency determination, as an emergency thing, but she was more comfortable doing it this way, so so she did. So any comments or questions from commissioners?
We remove the broken branch off of the live tree, or removing the live tree as well as the felled tree?
It would be removing of the tree that was damaged is they're removing the whole tree as well. So the tree that had like a large limb that was broken off, they're removing that whole tree because it was a very large portion of that tree that was broken.
And just roughly how far from the edge of wet are the two trees?
One of them, the one that is like, that has fallen is like directly in the lake itself. And the other one I would say is within like 30 to 50.
Bob, I can comment if you'd like.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, it's about 120-foot pine. The root ball was at the water's edge. I do have a picture if you'd like to see it, if I could share my screen. And the other one was up on the peninsula. It's a red pine about 30 feet up. It split into two branches, and there was rot that occurred in between the split. And one of the splits came down, and it's actually hanging on another oak tree itself. So it's kind of a danger. And it lost a good portion of that side of the tree. So I'm going to take the branch down for now and hope the tree survives, but I don't really give it more than a couple of years before the other section of it comes down.
So, but Jeff, at this time, are you just asking to take down the part that fell down? It's already down?
Well, I'm going to see what the tree guys are coming tomorrow. So if he suggested to fall the tree, then I'll take the tree itself as well. And it's damaged beyond repair. I have a pretty good picture of it if you'd like to see it.
Oh, can you share your screen?
Sure. Let's see here. How do I do that again?
You go down the bottom of the Zoom screen.
Yeah. Well, I have an iPad, so it's different, I believe.
I can go into my email and really quick and get those photos and bring them up.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick. Let's see. All right.
There you go. So that's the one that's in the water. Most of it's underwater. Went through the ice. So you can see a lot of the branches are on the ice. That's the tree that split. You can see the rot goes down about halfway where the break is. And it lost about, I'd say about half the width of the tree going up. And I think it's just a danger up there. The trampoline is now dismantled and removed. So that is about 30 feet from the water.
Super, thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? I'm looking for a motion to approve this administrative determination.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, several seconds. Roll call. Rich,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you. Now, enforcement, Anna, thank you for reminding me about that.
Yes. So as far as enforcement orders go, 48 Oak Ridge, they are in the process of submitting. She has submitted everything except the notification to abutters. She did tell me that she was going to be busy during the holiday season, and I asked her if she would give me a date of final submittal, and she said at least by the 16th, so she can be on for the February 1st meeting. So she has submitted an RDA and the checks at least. 54 Pine Grove. I have been in contact with them and they have submitted an RDA so far, but I will say that there might be some inaccuracies for the enforcement order, because one says that the address is 454, but the homeowner or the person who was residing in that home said that the tree was taken down actually at 50 Pine Grove. So 54 and 50 are owned by the same person. That homeowner, she actually lives in Florida, and the person who was residing at 50 or 54 was her, I guess, daughter-in-law. And so they're actually no longer living there as well. So no one's currently living in there, but I have been in contact with someone and she has submitted an RDA. And apparently it is for 50 Pine Grove instead of 54.
Thank you.
Was taken down. And then as far as 23 Cove Road, well, I can get to that because that's a little bit more lengthier. 336 Arbor Street. They have done a full submittal, so they should be on for our next agenda on the 18th. And then for the notice of non-compliance at 205 Sunset, I found some of Nadia's old emails, and I got in contact with that homeowner, and they're working with, I believe, Dillis and Roy for plans, and they had met with them, the engineers, around Thanksgiving time and viewed the property and their plans being prepped for that property. So going back to 23 Cove Road, we finally got a cover letter of sorts from the town attorney in regards to having a new enforcement order sent out to the Galonis for the violation of the greenhouse being within the no build. So I guess we could just move forward with, propose or having a new enforcement order out specifying that violation and rescinding the previous enforcement order put out for other violations.
Thank you, Anna. Any comments or questions from commissioners on enforcement actions?
I kind of cut out there for a little bit, Bob. What was the update on 205 Sunset?
205 Sunset, that they've been working with Dillis and Roy, and they're working on a submission.
Wasn't that the case 4 months ago?
Anna, help me here.
I believe so. I was digging through and looking at the emails as well that Nadia was conversing with them. I think they were going through different engineers, I believe. And then finally they, I believe, settled with Dillis and Roy because they did an actual site visit of their property and have plans. And again, it's them waiting on the plans. So I'm thinking probably, I don't know what type of timeline I should give them before I officially send out an enforcement order in regards to them, because I'm not sure, I guess, how long it should take Dillis and Roy to write up those plans since they met with them around Thanksgiving time.
Anna, did they give any indication as to when they thought their plan would be ready?
They gave, I would have to go back to the email, but previously they were telling Nadia like anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, but that was with something different. But for what they said for Dillis and Roy. Actually, let me go to the email that she sent me. I'm not sure if she gave me a specific. Nope, not for Dillis and Roy. She did not give me, they did not give her a specific timeline. And that they are developing a proposal and that they
So
just,
Anna, I suggest that you take and you reach out to them and tell them the commission is asking that you report back to the commission by our next meeting, a specific timeline,
okay, I will do that.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on enforcement issues? Thank you. Howard Street driveway. I sent a letter to Michael Ray and Heather saying that the Conservation Commission had already spent $1,800 on the driveway permit for engineered plans, and we were hoping that the commission, that the select board and or Heather could help identify a source of funding to hire a contractor to put that in. And so, Michael Ray did allude to that at last night's meeting. So, hopefully I'll hear from Heather about that because she just got back from vacation. Timber sales, Mary and I and Greg all met with 4 loggers from King Loggers and Gary Goldrup on the site at Howard Street. I'm sorry, at Northfield Road. Gary informed us that there was a $2,200 overrun, so we got $2,200 more than we were anticipating from the bird cut on the Hollis Road property, the Hawes property, and that money has actually been deposited, sent to the town yet, which is news to me. I haven't seen any in. Have you done anything about that, Anna, that we got money in?
Rebecca and I have not seen anything in regards to that.
Son of a gun. I think it's time to reach out. Can you reach out to the town treasurer and ask her about that? Because he said that they should have received 2 checks. One for the original amount and a second one for the 20, or he said they should have received more than the original amount for the Hollis Road cut.
Yep, I will look into that tomorrow.
And I sent everybody a map. They're proposing to take, they took us out there and they showed us there's an existing road access way that leads to an abandoned field, and they'd like to actually use that when the land dries out or gets frozen to do the harvest. They can't do the harvest now, it's too wet. But they would still take and clear the original parking lot location that we planned for a parking lot and clear the access way. And I said, I personally had no trouble with what they were proposing. And, but it's an amendment to the forest cutting plan. And so is there any discussion about that before I ask for a motion? Hearing no discussion, I'm asking for a motion to approve this amendment to the forest cutting plan that would allow them to take and use this other cart path and to move their actual landing area as shown on the map that I sent the commissioners a few days ago.
So moved.
Second,
All right, we have a motion, and the first second was from Mike. Roll call, Rich,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard.
Aye.
Aye for myself. I don't want to talk about conservation land improvements tonight. I think that's all wrapped up in what we're doing with the grants. Committee reports, the only committee we have is open space, and they are trying to once again have a meeting this month. Mary, good luck with that.
Yeah. Oh, we have a hard time getting quorum.
So, any communications or public comment or comments from the commissioners?
Bob,
Yes, Richard.
What was our adjusted net for the bird cut up on Hollis with the
Whatever
addition?
was in the original contract plus $2,200.
All right, that was the number I was looking for, was what was in the original contract.
Oh, okay. I will look it up, Richard. It won't take me but a minute if everyone can be just a little, here's forestry. Let's see, Hawes timber sale, Hawes a butter notice, Hawes timber sale contract. An estimated total of $6,041.30
Was the original.
was the original. Now, of course, we pay, okay, we're gonna pay Gary Goldrup $1,000. So if there's a $2,200 overrun by my thing, we're gonna get like $7,241.30 out of this.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Any questions from members of the public? I think Mr. Toll is on the line here, and Jay Simeone is on the line. Nope. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn then
So
So
moved.
moved.
at 8:49.
Second, Mike.
All right, motion second, roll call, Rich,
All right,
Jeff,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
I as well.
and I for myself. Anna, how many public hearings do you think we're gonna have next time? Do you have any idea?
I would say including the continued, maybe 4.
Four. I love the sound of that. Good night, everyone.
Hold me on it, though.
Oh, I won't.
Good
Good night,
night.
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yay.